I have to hit something here, Jenna.
No, I just unmuted it.
Okay.
Okay, we're live on.
Are we good to go? Even though the red light's not on?
Yeah, it's done working on it.
Okay. We're good. Good morning. It is Wednesday, June 10th. Commissioner Van Beek and Commissioner White, we are here in the Commissioner's meeting room. Jen and Ross is doing our deputy clerk duties today. We are here for a hearing to consider a request by Kenneth Smart for appeal of an address change. And the case number is RD 2019-0028 APL. And if you are joined by WebEx, we will need you to identify yourself. Okay.
We have Zach Wesley on there just a second.
We have Tricia Nielsen, who is the director of the DSD department, is here with us. So you're going to take the lead on this. Wait, I think this is not a public hearing? It is a public hearing on our agenda. Okay.
Yeah. So this is, Madam Chair and Commissioner Van Beek, the board held a hearing and we've kind of left it open to come up with a resolution. And due to COVID and everything, we've had to delay it. This is, so I would say it might be good to swear folks in who are here.
Right.
I'll present the staff report addendum of the information from since the last hearing. I need direction from the board, so I'll have to bring back findings once I get that direction to know what actions you want us to take, you know, and costs probably for us to assume. And then I can write that up and bring the findings back later.
Okay.
So, I don't know if Monica wants to.
Okay.
Or Jen, sorry, swear us in, and then I'll proceed with the staff report and Mr. Smart, the other neighbor may want to provide additional testimony or
okay.
comments, so.
And I do want to say this, that I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I have the packet and all the information and everything. So I've had all the testimony and I know what the hearing's about. So at this, we will start then. If you wish to speak, do we have a sign-in sheet, Jenna? Isn't it funny how computers rule your life? And the computer decides to do something and it's like you don't even know what day it is anymore.
Is there anybody that signed up to speak?
There is nobody.
So, Mr. Smart, did you want to offer testimony?
Not testimony per se, but
So you'd like to speak? Okay.
Okay, you want to speak. Anybody else in here that is wishing to speak? Okay, we will swear you and Tricia in, Mr. Smart.
Kenneth Smart, Tricia Nielsen, do you swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very good. Okay, Tricia.
Just want to preface this with saying this has had the most moving parts of any issue I've had to deal with for some time. So again, this is not a land use issue. This is an addressing issue. And it's an issue that goes back in the first hearing we talked to the early 70s when the plat where Mr. Smart lives was approved by the county. So none of the issues of street names and addresses are the fault of anyone in this room. They were probably actions that should have been taken 40 years ago by somebody, some board. It was kind of brought back, I think, 16 years ago, and it was kind of put back in the drawer. So at our last hearing, pretty clear direction, I know, from Commissioner Dale Van Beek, is let's figure out a solution that's going to last. We don't taking too many runs at it, so let's figure out what needs to happen. The folks who live on the plat, there was a road that was named Chadwick. There's never been a sign for Chadwick. There's never been addresses assigned to Chadwick. These properties are, and you can see I have the larger aerial, and we have the staff report posted online. I don't think anyone on that WebEx, but It's just up in the corner there. There's just 6 lots. We have 3 homes, and they've been there for decades. Address to Oasis. The plat also, besides Chadwick, along the northern boundary, and it's not labeled because it was called Hill Ridge Road. And that road there's never been a street sign, there's never been addresses.
Could you point that out?
Yep. Here.
Okay.
And this is Oasis.
And
Okay.
Madam Chair,
So,
so I'm a little bit confused, Trish, because the red area is what I thought we were talking about. That's
Mr. Smart's home. So he's the appellant, but
So Hill Ridge goes east from that road that goes to
from
it.
Oasis, it's basically a continuation of Oasis. We would never have named it Hill Ridge today. It would have been named Oasis. Because you have to keep the same name on the same alignment
Oasis until the road that takes off,
until the plat, until the pink line.
correct?
And
then
that's-
it's Hill Ridge. So Oasis,
Yeah.
and then it goes down.
And that was
Or
Chadwick, is the
Chadwick,
other
and
name
then
on the
Hill Ridge.
plat.
We have
Yeah,
3 road names.
right. Well, we only need 1.
Okay.
So that's what we're trying to, so we have this issue of the plat, okay, the names on the plat that have never been used for 40 years. They're recorded on the plat, but there's never been a street name signed or posted. There's never been an address that uses those names.
Oh,
Weird. There's
No
a
name.
lot of weird stuff here.
Okay, yeah.
So that's it. We're also dealing with another county on the other side of the road. And at the continuation of Oasis, that goes into Gem County. And there's actually, you can kind of see the driveway. There's a home right there on Oasis as it goes into Gem County. So, Gem County, I've reviewed the Gem County comp plan and talked to their director. There is no plans to continue Oasis to the east. And I've looked at the current plan and also the draft plan. As you know, Canyon Highway District 4 is updating their transportation study, is doing a capital improvement plan to prepare for impact fees. And their current plan, nor the updated one, shows the continuation of Oasis. So to think we have to stub for a future extension, that's just not going to happen. I have humorously joked that if, with the billions of dollars we have sitting around in transportation money and we have a bypass, but I said if it ever came to be that would be, we'd have bigger issues than addresses. And talking with Tim Richard at Canyon 4, none of the recommendations in my report today would impede any of that, if that should ever come to pass, but not likely. So there's really no road extensions that are planned. To the south, where Chadwick on the plat, that Mr. Smart, he owns what's in red, but he also owns the other parcels to the south there. So any extension of Chadwick would be on that property owner. And then it would clearly be, they would have to resolve any issues at that point, but there is no plans. This is all zoned ag. There's no growth forecast in this. It's this little quiet corner of Canyon County. So the other wrinkle that we worked out is Oasis, to a point, is open. It's a public road operated by Canyon Highway District 4. It then becomes right-of-way that's maintained by Gem County. It then becomes a private segment easement. And you can kind of see the line really, let me see if I can point it out.
I'll give you my laser ping, but I don't know where it's at.
But that's kind of, this is probably, let me get a map in there. There is a segment that is privately owned just to the west, and then you hit the right-of-way that's on the plat. Actually, really,
Exhibit 3 has a map.
yeah, it's really, hold on. It's a really fine grain. I'll show you, this is kind of a blow up of exhibit 3. So it's, you can see a little jog in here. So this is a privately owned segment before you get to the plat. So you have these different segments of what I'll call Oasis with different ownership and maintenance responsibilities. So
And
which has contributed to the issues here.
may I ask a question on
Sure.
this? So Chadwick Lane goes south off of Oasis Road and then goes west.
No.
No.
Those
So how-
are
what's the
unopened
access?
right-of-ways on the
Okay.
plat.
So what's the access here? Is it down here?
He uses the unopened driveway here and then it comes up. His address to Oasis. So when we had the hearing back at the end of January,
Oh, I see.
the owners would like to keep the Oasis, but we're really going to have to change the house numbers at some point because they're not consistent with the 911 grid. So that's so what I've recommended, okay, just to kind of wrap it up, is that we not vacate the plat. That would involve all the lot owners. That would probably be overkill. It might seem like the right thing to do, but you're not going to get that much benefit by going through all that process. But we do have a process to go to the board, and this is the direction I need, and change Hill Ridge and Chadwick to Oasis. At the same time, we'll have to, there's a provision for variance in our street and addressing chapter of the county code, because you can change direction and keep the same name, but up to 100 feet. And this exceeds 100 feet, so we need a variance, which I would recommend because it is going to end. And I have photographs that I think you, Madam Chair, you have those exhibits in the staff report that kind of show there isn't going to be an extension of this anytime in the future. So I think we can support the continuation of the road name. But because we have the streets labeled on the plat as Hill Ridge and Chadwick, we have to go through that process to change the name on the plat. And once that hearing is done, I'll work with the county engineer. I think that can just be done via an affidavit. Okay, but that's something I need direction that if you would want, that would be a county-led application to kind of get those recorded names changed.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the first thing.
And I want to make sure I'm understanding. So if we're heading east on Oasis, we come to Hill Ridge.
Right.
And your proposal is to change that section from Oasis to Hill Ridge to Oasis where it's
Right.
east.
Yeah, which is consistent with the ordinance
Okay.
today.
But you also want to continue because evidently it's not a 90-degree, but it is an angled turn off of
Yeah.
now Hill Ridge onto Chadwick.
And I have a photograph of that intersection in the packet. You can see it's a curve kind of.
And that-
over time, it's a curve, yeah.
Guidelines, and it's involved. You have guidelines here on how this is supposed to be laid out, and it does follow that.
My recommendation was, that we would need the variance to continue to change direction of Oasis for more than 100 feet. But that could go concurrent with the plat change, renaming the street names on the plat.
So what you're saying is it's the section from what's now Hill Ridge to the end of Chadwick Lane that needs the variance?
Yes.
Okay. And then you
So then those lot owners in Mr. Smart's property could then be addressed off, would maintain the Oasis street name.
So rather than but that's what's changed on this map. You're no longer proposing that this becomes, they can keep Oasis, so it won't be Chadwick, it will be
Right.
Oasis.
Yeah, but we have to go through a formal amendment process to change the street name on the plat.
Okay, so then when we get to the south portion of the intersection of Oasis, what's now Oasis and Chadwick, we're going to leave that as Oasis also?
That I'm going to talk to the engineer, if we can just have unnamed, it's open right of way, but I don't know that it would need a name. The Gem County, I think, is addressed to Oasis, so that's something, I'll just have to talk to the county engineer on what to do about that stub.
Okay. And then
So,
one of the big concerns
Yeah.
is this with safety and the 911 grid.
yeah, that was the number one, yeah.
This variance, even though it's not in conformance, will meet the 911 grid?
Well, that's more the house numbers.
Okay, so the house numbers have to conform with the
Yeah,
grid.
that's what we'll have to change. We're trying to keep the street name the same as the address.
So there's a compromise in there that you worked.
That's what I'm trying, yeah.
Thank you.
But the house numbers, we really can't, because that's what they use to send the emergency vehicles
Okay,
out.
I appreciate that clarification.
So as part of the street name too, when we conducted the site visit, it needs more street signs. So that's the second part of the recommendation, and what I need direction from the board is to install 2 street signs. One where the public road becomes the unopened or private segment of Oasis, so that would be typically a blue sign. And I'll work that out. I have a general location I think would work. And then we need another sign where it makes the turn to indicate Oasis goes in that direction. So 2 signs to help with emergency response. No, and it's quite a ways from the first sign of Oasis, probably way over by El Paso or whatever. And you're going down a long stretch of road and you're thinking it's Oasis. But so to indicate that you're now going from the public Oasis to the private Oasis. And then when you get to the curve, that you that there's another sign indicating Oasis is going in that direction. Right.
Okay.
I can work with Kyle and Forrester here from the Sheriff's Office if it would benefit to have any house numbers. There's different ways to help inform emergency response. So yeah, this is the road, and by the way, these addresses are down that road when it's just a couple, So those occupied structures can be found. So that's the other, and I did get an estimate. Canyon 4 will work with us. They will install the signs, and I called because I didn't believe how cheap they were going to charge us. It was like about $50 a sign for the post. We would have to pay for the actual street name sign, and DSC's done that in the past where we had an error in the street name, and I think that cost at most $200 a sign. We have to dictate the size. It has to be that blue reflective. There's a certain standards that the sign has to meet. So, normally this would have been done 40 years ago when the plat is done and the developer would have installed the street signs. It never happened, but now we need them for emergency response. It's no fault of the people living there. So we do have money in the budget, but I just feel comfortable having direction from the board to authorize us to install the street signs, working with Canyon 4. We'll probably also have to, because nothing's easy, make sure Gem County's okay with it because it's right there where they maintain a stretch. So
is the first access point onto Oasis Road that's west of this El Paso? Is that what you're saying? Because I guess I'm kind of thinking why we would
way over here.
And that's El Paso there.
Madam Chair, you can see El Paso on the large aerial.
We don't
Where's
have
the
a pointer, Madam Chair.
Did I get?
And that looks like the first access on there.
To road access, the driveway access is the,
Right.
yeah. Gem County's on the north side, and Canyon County's on the south side of the road.
So there's nothing else that gets to that intersection
Right.
when you're headed north. This is the first access point.
Yeah, I think there's an,
West of Chadwick.
but it's as you're traveling down Oasis, it does transition from a public road to open right-of-way to a private to, again, open right-of-way.
Well,
So
and tell us what the impact, because most people wouldn't know that, right? So
Right.
is it impactful to 911 services? Is that why?
I think it would improve service to know that, yes, you're still on Oasis. And then definitely, well, typically you have it when it transitions from a public road to not a public road, as defined in the ordinance. And then here, there's no sign here. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, basically around here and here.
Okay.
You can kind of see the jog in the property line where this
Yeah.
is a private segment. So we would put a sign here and another one here to indicate
Is that enough?
there is a road, there's a street continues here.
What I heard though is the house numbers are not going to change.
No, those will change.
Those
So
are.
we're trying to keep the street name consistent Oasis. They have had Oasis as their address for decades.
And Madam Chair, I appreciate Trish sorting through this. I'm in support
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what will happen from west to east, where this dead ends into Gem County, is one consistent name, whether it's public or private. And then we're also going to compromise and allow homeowners to maintain the Oasis address headed south
Right.
And then this will be unnamed until such point of
Right.
development.
Yeah.
And I support.
And that will come back to you when we have to have the hearing on the change in the plat.
Okay,
So I just wanted direction that was,
I think that's
Okay,
good.
and
Okay.
and you have talked to the people that are concerned.
so, yeah, Mr.
Back.
Smart, and you might want to get.
Yes, Mr. Smart.
The other part of the recommendation is to talk to Chief Tominski. I want the fire district to inspect it to see if there's any turnarounds that would be needed, particularly to serve Mr. Smart. So I'm not concerned here, but and I have a photograph that we took of I just love this mailbox with the chainsaw hanging off of it.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
does that need to get widened out for fire district response or not?
Whose responsibility would that be financially?
I think that would be Mr. Smart to provide a turnaround, but it may not be a problem, so I didn't want to.
You're going to have an inspection first.
Right,
Report back.
inspection and then report back. So if there's any necessary improvements, we'll work that out. I think Mr. Smart can.
And that would be at the
That's what
northeast corner of the property?
No, it would actually be over at the end of Chadwick. Now, he may also want the fire district just to review it. I just don't see, I think he's got plenty of turnaround. It's really a turnaround.
So it's the intersection of unnamed road and Chadwick.
It's now Chadwick, yeah. His driveway in Chadwick where that intersects. And you can see in the photograph, it's a T, but it's kind of tight. It seemed kind of tight when I was out in the field. So I want to make sure a fire response can make that right turn down his driveway.
It seems, this is the picture,
Yeah.
and it is very, yeah.
And so I would just feel better knowing that they reviewed that and with their equipment and that they're good because there was not a turnaround on the plat. Today, normally all of this stuff is part of what we do, but 40 years ago, just a lot of things didn't happen. So it shouldn't be this complicated. But here we are.
And Madam Chair, in the
so
40 years, there's
yeah.
not been other development. This is it.
Yeah. So I just want them to keep live and let live, but I want to make sure emergency response can find
There.
the home.
That's
the priority.
the big priority, okay.
And then the other thing that I talked to Mr. Smart is his letters at the end of his driveway or his numbers are not reflective and they need to be. So that was the other recommendation is that he change those out so that they are reflective numbers. So and you can kind of see in if you're coming down the driveway, it's hard to see those black numbers to know that you're at the right house. So,
And in the event.
and that's required in the ordinance that they be, absolutely, yeah.
Then you would have something telling them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the one that shows the location of that.
So the scheme of things, that's probably kind of minor, but it's important for emergency response. That's why we have these standards. So,
Okay.
and I think there's just a lot of parts to this one. But I wasn't going to give up on it. I can see why. I think 16 years ago and 40 years ago, feeling, this is too complicated. But I think we figured it out. So,
You anticipate, Madam Chair,
yeah.
any problems with Jim County on that? Okay.
And the addressing is, the only thing with Jim County is that the roadmaster or the planning of who does the addressing, and our folks, I'm not going to force, they have never really communicated, never had a need to talk with each other in this segment, but I trust we'll get that figured out. Everybody shares the same goal of, effective response to these areas.
Okay.
So at the very end, I just want to say that the whole vacating the plat, that might be something that we generally talk to them about it, but you have to get everybody sign in. And if we required that might just delay this further out. And I think they have a lot of decisions to make on whether they want to vacate roads in their subdivision or not. So I was just going to offer assistance, but not make that requirement if that's something that
And what that
we wanted to contemplate.
Madam Chair, would effectively just, you'd rewrite the plat to have it.
I have to replat, and there's quite an expense to that. So I didn't want to,
I appreciate that.
I didn't see a real value for the immediate issue of requiring that or getting into replatting. Changing the street name, and also typically that can at the conclusion of the hearing, we just, the county surveyor would record an affidavit.
Okay.
And the county would absorb the cost of any of that?
Yeah, so the cost of the county would be the 2 street signs and the processing costs, and including staff time and the county surveyor time to take that through a board hearing, the noticing expenses to change the street names on the plat.
Are we under $1,000 on that with all of that? Where do you think we're at?
We don't charge ourselves a fee, so it's just the ad cost, yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty minor. The
Okay.
biggest expenses is, that's why I called the highway district. I didn't believe they would only install it for $50 a sign. And I just have to get a quote from the sign shop. But yeah, probably less than 500 total.
Okay.
Is what I would gather.
So, and you'll remain here if we need to. Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Smart, if you would just step up to that and give us your name and address on the record, please.
Ken Smart, 14167 Oasis Road, Colton. So I'd like to thank the commission for this process. I think it got started a little rough, but it worked. I'd like to thank the director for taking a lot of time in researching this. It took some time. And I think that she's come up with the best solution for everybody. Granted, there's some compromise, but that's life. It meets emergency services needs. They're not what they want, but it meets their needs. And so if the board accepts the director's recommendations, I think we'll be happy.
I would like for you to state on the record your understanding of the solution to this request.
Okay. What the proposal is to change what is platted as Hill Ridge Road and what's platted as Chadwick Lane to Oasis. They're going to be blue signs, in other words, not county maintained or county roads. They'll still be privately maintained. For the time being, there's still public access. There may be a change later depending on what the actual residents of the subdivision want. And myself, I'm not 100% clear on what the changes would mean going from a public road to a private road. That's not been explained, and I'll probably talk to Tim at Canyon Highway District 4 so that I can pass it on to the people that actually live in the subdivision.
And you understand your house numbers are going to change, but your street name will stay the same?
But I understand most of them are going to change. I'm not sure about mine yet.
And maybe that's not true, Madam Chair. Is he going to retain the 14167?
We don't know that
We
yet.
don't know that yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smart. Okay.
If I could just answer, I talked to Tim Richard at Canyon 4 today, and so there's a public road is public right-of-way open for travel and maintained. So these are, and so that's where you have your green signs. So pretty much anything else is blue. So talking to Tim Richard, I'm going to revise one of they don't really want a maintenance agreement with the highway district. They just want it to be conform with the district standards. So I was going to put that in the revised findings. So they're fine with these folks using the right-of-way even and maintaining it. The highway district is not, because this is an island. This is separated from the road that they do maintain. So they're fine with that. They just want it to be in compliance with district standards. So I was just going to let that, reword it just to say that. But the blue sign, so it shouldn't change anything from how it's working today. It's a blue sign instead of a green sign because even though it's public right-of-way, it's not maintained by the highway district. And they don't want to take that, they don't want to provide an indication that it is, which is what a green sign would indicate. But we really need signs for directional and response needs, so.
Does that,
That's,
Mr. Smart, does that address that Now do you get an
Yeah,
understanding? Okay, thank you.
Nothing changed.
And maybe over time, it'll change from blue to green, but that's up to the highway district.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's the only other thing I wanted to add to that.
Okay, any other questions here?
Don't have any.
So with that, I'll, you know, if you want to provide direction in the motion, but I would need probably a week to come back with the findings. I'll write them up based on that direction.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we have one more person in the audience. I didn't know if they were wanting to speak or not.
Well, I wasn't sworn in or anything, so I
That,
didn't think I was gonna want to speak, but just hearing a few things back, I want to take a couple of things.
okay, yeah, if you will, we'll swear you in. What's your name, please?
Sorry, you don't know about it?
Come on up to the microphone, and then we'll swear you in. And your name and address, please?
Rogelio Nevadas, 14011 Oasis Road, Caldwell, Idaho.
It's in the minutes in January.
Okay. Do you swear from the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
The only question I have is that on the addresses, you're saying there, just Mr. Smart here was saying that you didn't know if his address was going to change. I'm kind of, like I say, I'm kind of particular to 14011. I don't know. I guess I just don't know why they need to change. I made my way over here this morning and they were all going in accordance. They were just all, one number starts and they either went up or they went down on the street. So I don't understand why the numbers need to change. I do appreciate everything that's going on. I do. And then when they were talking about that road, that little access road there, actually the road behind there is nothing but BLM land. And that little access road is an easement for the irrigation district and a homeowner behind them. And it's never been a access for anybody other than those people who need to use it.
Okay.
And that's all that's for.
Okay.
So if anything, I hope my address doesn't get changed, the numbers, but like Mr. Smart says, we all got to compromise. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we have a sheriff's deputy here who I would like, I guess, to provide comment in response.
You need to
that
step up to
question.
the microphone, and we need name and address, and we'll swear you in.
Kyle McAllister, 3020 Village Green Street, Caldwell, Idaho, 83605.
Do you swear from the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay.
The laser pointer.
Oh, wait.
So these, or I don't know if you guys remember, but these.
Bottom, on the bottom, there's a button.
Are these addresses, so it increase or decreases this way and then increases that way? But if we're making it all Oasis Road, they would all need to increase the whole way. But then we may also be using the north-south grid for these ones. And then so the numbers, which I should have printed out, but so these numbers, and then when it turns, then it'll be, because I think it's like these would need to be based on this grid. And
Right.
then these ones would be based on.
Okay.
So I don't see any way around changing all the numbers.
That,
Yeah.
so you,
Have to
okay.
fit the grid.
And also this address right here, or I think it's that one, is Chadwick Lane already, so we'd have to change that
Yeah.
one. As well as the sign, there's a sign out in front that says Chadwick Lane. So we'd have to change that to stay away from road with the number.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Kyle.
And Madam Chair, I'm interested if the other sheriff's officer has any comments unrelated to public safety.
I did, I haven't been sworn in either, but
Well, then if you will, we'll swear you in.
Do you swear from the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
And your name, please?
My name is Forrest Smith. I'm at 3502 Central Park Street, Caldwell.
Okay, thank you.
Unless you have specific questions for me, I was just going to say that we do have a north-south grid. and we have an east-west grid, and it's not a 911 emergency services grid. It is a Canyon County grid.
Okay.
And so it's not something we make up or change at will or anything like that. This is something that we use from, that is official from Canyon County. And, but yeah, the grid is going to, the north-south grid is going to have to change to go to Mr. Navarro's. What he was saying, that he's not sure if everybody's address has to change, and my comments are going to be that yes, everybody's is going to have to change because you've got the north-south grid and you've got the east-west grid, and if the addresses are they're all going to have to be increasing in the same direction. You can't have addresses that are smaller than others and larger than others on either side of each other. So it's going to have to flow and to fit into the address fabric.
So is this, then this is a response time? This will decrease response time because it will be a little more organized and more uniform, not only for sheriff, but for ambulance or any kind of first responders. This change is to make it clearer for.
Yes, I mean, overall, yes, that's correct. The whole reason why it was brought up was because Mr. Smart's property is not, it's accessed off of Chadwick Lane, but it didn't have a Chadwick Lane address. Okay. And so one of our uniform standards that we do for addresses, and we'll make this true no matter if you live in a rural area or in a subdivision, you want your property to have an address that's based off of the street that fronts your house. So if you take Chadwick Lane to get to your home, you have to have a Chadwick Lane address. And that was the reason why we brought that up in the first place. And so, yes, we just need responders to be able to find the home. Just
very good.
Simply put.
Very good. So it's a life safety matter. Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay. Now I don't see. I think everybody now has spoken. So, oh, you are the applicant. You can come back and.
So back to the address issue. When I get back, I'm going to look and see how the addresses flow. But if you're going to change some of them in the Canyon County side, are you not going to have to get a response from the Jim County so that everything is right?
Yeah.
Yes, that will be Tricia.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, we will take care of Canyon County and we'll inform Jim County, but we can't tell Jim County what to do. Hopefully they will follow along, but
okay.
That's how that will have to work because they're dispatched, they're folks, and we would think we need to all be on the same.
Okay.
But I don't want that to hold up. Take care of the Canyon County addresses.
Okay.
But we'll definitely work with Jim County.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure you weren't going to have Canyon County addresses going the right way and then Jim County addresses going the other way or something, and you defeat your purpose, sort of.
Yeah.
All right,
thank you, Mr. Smart. Good question. Yes.
We did, I think Tony Almeida, our office, on the field visit, we did notice some of those inconsistencies as we drove along, and fortunately there's not a lot, and I do want to inform the board, nothing changes overnight. We give months to affect a change in address. Tell the post office, we try to get them to work with,
Okay.
But anyway, so if I get that direction, I'll bring findings back based on, for the board's consideration, that subsequent date.
June 17th, 9 a.m.
And do we need a motion on this morning?
Yeah.
Yes.
And do we need to close public testimony?
Yes, we do.
Then I move to close public testimony.
Sorry.
Moved and seconded to close public testimony. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I really appreciate, again, the work that Tricia has done. I think this represents a compromise that neighbors in the county can live with. Sounds like our sheriff's office is also in favor of how this is going. So unless there's further discussion, I'm going to move that we approve the address change for case number RD 2019-0028-APL and bring back those findings on June 17th at 9 a.m. for approval.
And I'll second that. Okay. And
Discussion.
as per discussion and staff recommendations, those changes will be, okay.
Madam Chair, I'm very familiar with this, but since I did not get the advantage of the full hearing, I'm going to abstain from voting, but I'm in support of what's being proposed here. And from my reading of the material previously, I think we're going in the right direction here. So but I'm not going to vote.
Okay, but you're not going to vote. Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, very good.
Getting closer to.
Yes. Thank you, Jenna. That will conclude this meeting. Thank you for being here.
This is a map. It's always a challenge to try to fold the map back the same way it was.
Oh.